In Palestine, humanitarian emergency worsens as the hours tick by, and nearly 2 million people in the enclave reduce their food consumption to 1 meal a day and drink polluted water. In Canada, several Caribbean leaders moved the Prime Minister of Canada to tackle priority issues as climate change menace and Haiti's crisis. Grenadians celebrate commemorative events on the first National Day of Heroes in memory of the 1983 assassination of a former Prime Minister Maurice Bishop, several of the cabinet's colleagues and civilians. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Rosabal from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Genocide continues to drop bombs on Palestinian civilian settlements, killing more than 15 Palestinians on Thursday and forcing at least 1 million residents to flee their homes. Early Thursday, Israeli occupation forces bombed Rafah, Sahara, and Khan Yunis, causing at least 15 deaths. The epidemiological count of the violence is getting more difficult as the number is increasing by the hour, and the free briefing provided by the Gaza Ministry of Health on Thursday registered 3,547 deaths and 30,365 wounded. Humanitarian organizations also denounced the forced displacements of more than 1 million residents. In order to deepen what is happening with the conflict between Palestine and Israel, we're going to talk to Nora Garcia. She's the member of the International Secretariat of the Communist Party of Spain, and she's responsible for the African region. Good afternoon, Nora Garcia.
Hello, good afternoon.
In the past few days, people in Spain have taken to the streets to support the Palestinian resistance and to demand sanctions against Israel. In other countries as well, people have stood up for Palestine. And from your point of view, what is the impact of these demonstrations in the world?
Well, I think that it's very important to show that the peoples are better than their governments. I think that here, at least in Europe, we are seeing how their government support to Israel is punishing also Palestinian demonstration. We are seeing in France arresting people just to because they are waving Palestinian flags. The same in the UK, saying that this can be a crime. In Berlin, they are forbidding demonstration. So I think that they are trying to shut up the people that are also asking for peace, and also to address, what's underlying these events that didn't begin the 7th of October, that are talking about ending apartheid regime, ending occupation, ending segregation and death.
UN Chief Antonio Guterres called for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the Middle East to ease the epic human suffering in the Israel-Gaza conflict. How will this United Nations action help the Palestinian people?
Well, I think that we are seeing a United Nations that cannot work, right? Yesterday, Brazil's draft proposal was just, vetoed by the US. So we have to rethink how these international mechanisms uphold international law and defend also the human rights of all people. So I think that United Nations expressed that we really need to rethink how we work together in the world, since we have to address one important issue. Like, Israel was born by a UN resolution, right? And from 1947 till only 2001, I think that more than 26 resolutions from the United Nations have been affecting this conflict, and no one of them have been, accomplished by Israel. So we have also to address, how is this possible? How is this possible that Israel is not, upholding this resolution that is saying that they have, like the 2334, there are a lot of them. So we have to think that the UN cannot be only, like press releases, because Antonio Gutierrez is talking about the Palestinian issue long time ago, 7th of October. He has said on the past that he defined Gaza, in fact, as hell in earth. And all these studies, even, the definition of Israel as apartheid regime comes from not emotionally involved people with the Palestinian cause, but by Michael Link in a report of the Human Rights Council in 2022, talking about that apartheid, in fact, is a technical definition of what is happening in Palestine. So what we have to work is for sure fight the good fight in the UN, continue pushing international law, diplomacy, and resolution of conflict. But it's very important that this demonstration that we are seeing everywhere in the world continue, because we have to say as people that we have to say to our government, not in my name. We don't want to take more of this hypocrisy, right? They are talking like this is a war on terror, or that this is like a religious cause. And I think that people have had enough of these kind of things. I think that we won't take it anymore. And this is the way to push our governments. And that's the way that our governments should also be pressured to work towards a UN that actually, can, like pressure Israel to solve this situation.
In this conflict that has caused death, disaster, and displacement, what is expected of all international organizations?
Well, I think that we have to acknowledge that the Palestinian cause is not a new cause. I think that we can remember the mobilizations of Sheikh Jarrah problem that happened not very long time ago. Lots of people, hundreds of people, thousands of people were mobilized around the world with that. Also, because of the assassination of the reporter Shirin Abu Akleh, right? So we have to think that there is a Palestinian Solidarity International network that can automatically, be connected to mobilize people. I think that we have to take all microphones. We have to discuss this hypocrisy. We have also to, internationally, work together. And I think that the Palestinian networks, they are doing a very good job on mobilizing. Also, we have to acknowledge that these Palestinian movements are in the civil society movements. They are a part of the feminist movement, of the ecology movement, of the anti-racist movement. So this intersectionality is also mobilizing a lot of organizations that they are not itself only as international solidarity campaign or project, right? So I think that internationally it's undeniable that there is a huge Palestinian network that we have to support, and that we have also to connect all those issues, all these ecology issues, anti-racist issues, feminist issues, human rights issues, and mobilize together to support and also to put pressure to stop the genocide.
The recent visit of U.S. President Joe Biden and his statements of full support for Israel have generated controversy. What should we expect from this supposed support of the U.S. President for Israel?
Well, I think that we can actually say that the U.S. is not under international law. Like, in fact, what their own policy is named. What's the name? Like law order. Like they are not under the UN umbrella anymore. They are talking about a rules-based order. That means that they run the world. So we have also to acknowledge that the Palestinian and Israeli situation is not only about a conflict among two peoples. It's about a geopolitical situation, and for sure the U.S. is using from the beginning the Israeli state as strategic alliance towards the Middle East. This means that this situation can be out of proportion, because we are seeing also the Middle East being mobilized about what's going on in Palestine. So we are in a crucial moment. I think that there is one moment very important, like recently a 6-year-old Palestinian was stabbed to death 26 times, in the U.S. So this hatred is very worrying, and we have to put pressure in the U.S. and also from international organizations like the European Union. So I think we have all a lot of work to do. For instance, we as I'm from Spain, so in the European Parliament, we are also addressing these key issues of, international support to Israel. We have also seen not only Biden, but we have also recently said in Tel Aviv, the president of the European Parliament, Roberta Metsola, and also the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, supporting Israel. So I think that we have also to push internationally to the US, and for sure also the demonstrations and also the mobilizations of the civil society in the US is also challenging some of the narratives that have been placed for the public opinion.
Thank you, Nora Garcia, for your time and for your comments regarding the conflict between Palestine and Israel.
Thank you.
And we continue with more news. The humanitarian emergency in Gaza worsens as the hours tick by, and nearly 2 million people in the enclave reduce their food consumption to 1 meal a day and drink polluted water. With no electricity and no homes, the people of Gaza survive those in the little food they still have left. The lack of energy and supply force millions to drink polluted water. Humanitarian organizations announced that hospitals are on the edge of collapse, in addition to the crisis already affecting them to the blockade imposed by Tel Aviv, and there are 13 days of siege and more than 12,000 wounded. The Palestinian representatives to the United Nations have asked media to warn the truth and to tell the truth about the war crimes committed by Israel against women and children. Let's take a short break. But remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English. We'll find news in different formats, new dates, and more. All studies coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. Several Caribbean leaders moved with the Prime Minister of Canada to tackle priority issues as climate change, menace, and Haiti crisis. The meeting called by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau aimed at strengthening ties and addressing crucial issues for the region, including Caribbean nations pose a serious threat due to climate change. In that regard, Prime Minister Barbados Mia Mottley debated on the reforms of credit entities which affect so much the country, and assured there is no political will to solve the predicament. Haiti was another issue of the encounter, which Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Ferret, delved in for a long time. Anthony Virgin St-Pierre, Secretary General of the High Transnational Council of Haiti, was kidnapped on Wednesday in Haiti. The incident has been confirmed by Mirland de Maniget, the president of the High Council, who stated that a group of heavily armed men took the Secretary General away. All the versions of the incident add that the perpetrators were wearing police uniforms, a resource often used by the criminal gangs to terrorize the Caribbean nation. The announcement of the supposed arrival of a multinational force to reduce violence has failed to intimidate the criminal gangs that have already carried out more than 1,400 kidnappings so far in 2023. On Wednesday, Mexico, the Commission for Truth and Access to Justice of the Ayotzinapa case of the Ministry of the Interior affirmed that the Army followed up in real time everything that happened to the 43 normalistas on September 26, 2014. Alejandro Encinas Rodriguez, current Undersecretary of Human Rights, Population and Migration, published a series of documents of military espionage related to the military's pursuit of the criminal network in Iguala when the 43 students from Isidro Burgos School disappeared. The 18 documents showed the number of people the Army intercepted and also contained tests about the transfer of students and would support the theory that the Army was aware of the kidnapping and disappearance of the 43 students. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, sub-stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's more recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. And we continue with more updated information about the Pan American Games held in Santiago, Chile. Eduardo Aragonesi reports from Chile. Eduardo, what are the latest updates so far?
Hi Adaneb, how are you? We're actually here live at the Training Olympic Center in the city of Santiago. It's been a very, very busy morning. Boxing is what's been on the agenda for the second day of the Pan American Santiago 2023 Games. We have a couple of results for you guys. Argentina did pretty well this morning, winning 2 of their matches. Kevin Alicock from Guyana defeated the representative from Panama. Brazil defeated Canada, and Uruguay did the same as well with Guatemala. Christian Salcedo from Colombia, he had a very, very good match against Nigel Paul from Trinidad and Tobago, and he said he's coming to Santiago for the gold, so we're going to keep an eye on him. He's going to do very, very well. We're sure he's one of the favorites to take the gold. As we said earlier, we were covering the morning shift. Right now we're on a break. It's a little bit empty, as you can see, but the action is going to start over around 5 o'clock local time, where we're going to keep an eye on the representatives from Cuba, especially, who are the favorites for this discipline, as well as Venezuela and the representative from Haiti. He's one of the athletes that are going to be taking the ring against the representative from Colombia, Jose Biafara. As we said, we are going to be here covering boxing. Boxing is what's going to be on the agenda for today, and we're going to have all the live updates for you guys. As soon as you need us, we'll be here for you.
And what can we expect at the inauguration ceremony?
Yes, actually, we talked yesterday to the executive director of the Pan American Games, Harold May Nichols. He told us that we're going to have an amazing show. We're going to have a light show, fireworks, artists, a lot of Chilean artists, but a lot of international musical artists that are going to be presenting this Friday around 8 o'clock in the National Stadium of Santiago.
And despite being on the second day of the Games, the first medals will not be awarded on this Saturday. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people are asking us when are we going to see medals, the ceremony, but as you well mentioned, right now it's all preliminary rounds. The first medals are going to be this Saturday in a couple of disciplines, actually. The sports that are going to be handing medals, there's several, but the ones that we want to highlight is swimming, mountain bike, which is a sport that it's new for the Pan American Games, weightlifting, among others. Diving is another sport that's going to have their first medals this Saturday, and of course, we're going to be there letting you guys know what countries are winning, what's the scoreboard, and all the details from this Pan American Games in Santiago, Chile.
Thank you, Eduardo Aragonesi, for reporting for us from Santiago at the Pan American Games. And we continue with more news. On Thursday, Grenadians celebrate commemorative events on the first National Day of the Heroes in memory of the 1983 assassination of former Prime Minister Maurice Bishop, several of his cabinet colleagues, and civilians. Local authorities declared public holiday and organized several activities of reflection and remembrance of their heroes and martyrs in the 40th anniversary of the murder of the country's first left-wing Prime Minister, a victim of the counter-revolutionary movement that perpetrated a coup d'etat orchestrated and financed by the U.S. On October 25th, just 6 days after the killings of Bishop, U.S. troops invaded the Caribbean nation. More than 780 Cubans, including doctors, buildings, and other professionals, were in cooperation with Grenada at the time of the U.S. invasion. Grenada suffered 45 military deaths and also arrested 24 civilians, along with 358 wounded soldiers. Cuba had 25 killed in action, with 59 wounded and 638 taken prisoner. And we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Nora Garcia. Thank you for watching.